The day after my husband died, I was so surprised. When I opened the door, our friends started singing for us. At that moment, I realized we're not going to be alone. We have our spiritual family. There's no pandemic, there's no bad situation that will prevent Jehovah to reach anyone when they're going through trials.
Our hearts go out to all who have lost loved ones during the pandemic. We are not shielded from time and unexpected events, but Jehovah always helps us to endure hardship, often through the love shown by our brothers and sisters.
Jehovah always helps us to endure hardship, often through the love shown by our brothers and sisters. Okay, well, what do we mean by endure? Jehovah always helps us endure. Are you really enduring a hardship if you're dying as a result of it? That would be my question. If Jehovah is intervening to help you endure, he's getting into your brain chemistry, he's meddling around with your brain neurons and making sure that your electrochemical signals in your brain make it possible for you to endure hardship. If he's doing that while he's in there, while he's in your body, helping you endure hardship, why can't he help you survive something like the COVID-19 virus? Why can't he do that? It's just blatant, as far as I'm concerned, the scam that's going on here. Just unfalsifiable claim after unfalsifiable claim. And what I really don't like about this particular claim, this claim that Jehovah always helps us to endure, is it puts the blame on you if you can't endure. Because let's face it, we've all been in situations where we frankly can't endure. We're not coping. And that's okay. It's okay to find it impossible to endure a situation, to feel that it's all too much, to the point where we need to lean on others, we need to lean on professional help in order to make it from one day to the next. It's okay, but when you hear a religious leader saying that Jehovah always helps us to endure, what that does is it says, well, if I'm struggling to endure, or if I'm not enduring, if I can't cope, the problem must be with me. So I really have a problem with this sort of ideology, but also how cringeworthy that this, I'm assuming, Italian lady who lost her husband had this JW flash mob turn up at her home the day after her husband died. She doesn't seem to have a problem with it. And by the way, she has my fullest sympathy. It must have been a terrible ordeal to go through, to be at your husband's side as his life is departing him, to go through that ordeal. She has my fullest and deepest sympathy. But I'm sorry, I would really struggle with losing a spouse under those circumstances, and the next day having that spectacle at the end of my driveway. I can only imagine how she'll feel about this if she ever wakes up to the fact that she's being lied to. Obviously, it's palatable for her now because she thinks this is normal. She thinks it's normal to have propaganda music doomsday propaganda music, if you remember the nature of the video that accompanies that particular song. So have that blasted to you from the end of your driveway the day after losing your husband. Great, she found it comforting, she found it consoling. But would she feel the same way if she was starting to wake up, or if she did fully wake up from her indoctrination? And more to the point, is it really wise to normalize that sort of behavior? I mean, granted, it was happening due to the pandemic and social distancing. But are we really supposed to be encouraging Jehovah's Witnesses to behave in this way in all cases where someone dies, in all cases where there is a grieving family? I would suggest that's an unwise course of action. What families most need when there is a loss, when there is bereavement, in my personal experience, is some time and space to process the trauma that they're experiencing, perhaps one or two trusted friends or family members there for support, not a flash mob at the end of their driveway. I would suggest that is not what families going through a bereavement need. But I think the problem when it comes to Jehovah's Witnesses is that the entire approach to dealing with a bereavement or dealing with memorializing a dead congregant is wrong. The whole emphasis in those situations is to promote the organization. And that's what they were doing at the end of the driveway. It wasn't really about remembering this poor woman's husband and remembering who he was and what he meant to her. It was about making sure she stayed in the organization. It was a love bombing exercise. And that's what funerals of Jehovah's Witnesses typically are, in my experience. I've said before, it's almost like the lost loved one is killed all over again, because if there's one occasion where you get to be talked about, or where you should get to be talked about and remembered for who you are as a person, it should be your funeral. But typically that's not what happens at a Jehovah's Witness funeral. Typically it's all about promoting the organization and remembering you as a faithful worshipper of Jehovah, assuming that to be the case. So what this video is doing is exposing the fact that when a Jehovah's Witness dies, it's not about being sensitive towards the family and giving them the time and space to grieve. It's about love bombing them and making sure they stick with the organization regardless of their loss.